All right. Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about it today, but of course there is a campaign, a race going on right now. So let's take a look at some recent poll numbers, starting with the race to be Republican nominee. According to the latest I&I Tip nationwide poll, when GOP voters were asked if the Republican presidential primary were held today, whom would you support for the nomination? And 60% answered former President Trump. Florida Governor DeSantis, just 11%. Vivek Ramaswamy, only 9%. The top three were followed by Mike Pence at 6%, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley at 3%. If we zoom in on and look at the Iowa caucus goers, a bit of a shift. According to the Iowa State University Civos poll, the Donald Trump, former president, still outpaces the other Republican presidential nominees at 51%. DeSantis doing slightly better at 14%, a long way from there. But former Governor Nikki Haley is up to 10%, double digits. As for Vivek Ramaswamy, he stays the same in Iowa as nationwide at 9%. Here is one other interesting poll. CNN showing former Governor Haley would be most likely to beat President Biden in a hypothetical 2024 run. And you can be sure that they're going to try to tout that. The poll found that 49% of all voters nationwide would be more likely to vote for Haley if she were the Republican nominee, while only 43% would support Biden. Several of the other top GOP candidates were neck and neck with Biden in the same poll. So you can be sure they're going to try to tout that because that's what it's all about, right? Winning that race. Joining us now to discuss, former Vice Chair, New Jersey Federation of Republican Women, and Melanie Collette, plus GOP strategist Ford O'Connell. Well, Melanie, I'll start with you. How would you read this? I think it's kind of interesting. Nikki Haley doing well head-to-head, assuming that Joe Biden's actually going to be their nominee.
I'm actually not surprised when you consider that she has a combination of everything that's good, right? She's got the executive experience, she's got the foreign policy experience, and bonus, she's a woman. So I think she's an excellent candidate. But I also find it interesting that Trump is neck and neck with Biden, and he's got 91 indictments. So I feel like that puts him far ahead of Biden because he's got that negative of all these indictments to deal with.
Ford, what stands out to you on those polls?
Well, barring a seismic event, Donald Trump is going to be the Republican presidential nominee. And if he wins Iowa, he's certainly going to be the Republican presidential nominee. And when you reference those 4 indictments and 91 charges that Melanie's pointing out, Donald Trump should probably be 10 points ahead of Joe Biden, except the Democrats and the media are busy rigging the election. And trust me, when it comes to Nikki Haley, remember, just about every Republican candidate is leading Joe Biden. The reason why Nikki Haley is doing so well is because CNN and the Dem media slime machine hasn't turned its eyes on Nikki Haley. And when they do, I promise you, she'll be neck and neck with Biden as well.
Expand your thoughts on that.
Well, the bottom line is Nikki Haley's getting a free pass because the media, the Democrats, are focused on Donald Trump. They're keeping one eye potentially on Ron DeSantis. No one's paying attention to Nikki Haley. And I promise you, if she were to become, hypothetically, the Republican presidential nominee, the CNN will turn her into the devil in just under 7 months.
What do you think, Melanie?
Well put. I think he summed it up right there. That's the way it works.
Ford is absolutely right about that. And I think they're making a mistake sleeping on Nikki Haley, but for all the reasons that I stated earlier in the segment.
Hey, Melanie, I also want to get your thoughts. You know, it seems like an increasingly big if. Can we imagine Joe Biden being president for another 4 years?
It's getting harder to imagine that.
Yeah, if you look at how him speaking in Vietnam and his little shuffle, to imagine how he would be, you know, at several years from here. Yeah. Seemingly not good. So my question there to you, Melanie, is, you know, names are being thrown around as a potential alternative to Biden. Of course, Gavin Newsom is one. Another one that seems to pop up more often lately, Michelle Obama.
No, 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 no. We do not need another affirmative action candidate. I'm sure Michelle Obama would be totally swell for those who are into identity politics. But whether or not she would be a great president, I think that we've seen from the Biden administration that she would not be a good president because she would just follow in his footsteps, really following in her husband's footsteps,
Yeah.
which is what President Biden seems to be
Melanie,
doing.
I think you don't like
No.
Michelle Obama.
How did you get that too?
I
thought-
did, yeah, but I think it's because she's racist. Anyway, Ford, who of these people is actually going to step up? It sounds like Gavin Newsom is afraid to take on Kamala Harris. He doesn't want to be the bad guy. Somebody's going to have to explain to her that she can't win.
Well, look, the powers that be in the Democrat Party are having that conversation right now. They realize that 67% of Democrats and nearly three-quarters of America think that he's too old to run again. If they decide to switch him out, Gavin Newsom will be the person who's running a shadow campaign who will replace him. And when it comes to Kamala Harris, they're going to have to go to James Clyburn in South Carolina to make sure that they pick an African-American to be vice president because, again, the base of the Democrat Party comes down to African-Americans and African-American women in general, because without that, if they lose any 2 points, they lose the White House and they know it.
Yeah, and Jim Clyburn basically picked Biden last go-around.
Yeah.
That's what happened. All right. Melanie, Collette, Ford O'Connell, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.